Alrighty fam, welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to chat about the LRs. Now before I get into this, I do just want to preface that this isn't just me having a go at Netmarble. I love this game, I love the concept of LRs, I think they're a lot of fun, but I'm going to get into some pros and cons of what I think about them and kind of the order they've been released and how we've gone about them and a few things like that. So let's get started. So first things first, the first LR we ever got was Lost Vein Melee, right? This was back when, so the first three-ish LRs that we got was when LR seals were super hard to come by, right? You only got them from Hue Arena, basically, and a couple from Labyrinth, and it took you basically, unless you were very high in CC and box and had all units heavily invested into in lots of different gears, it took you a very long time to accumulate any LRs or any enough legendary seals to get an LR, right? Now, I thought Lost Vein was the perfect starting point for this. I thought his charge card that infects was a great update. This Sever and the Fill Ultimate Gauge was a great update. This Holy Relic was a great... So the thing about Lost Vein was that he was really good once you got his Holy Relic, and he wasn't... He was still good when you didn't, but he wasn't kind of broken, if that makes sense, right? Like, he was just the crowd favorite. He was someone that everyone wanted to use again. He came back and his passive worked really well because it wasn't restricted. There was no restriction to it. You could use it with any team, on any team, with any combination, with any passives, on any game mode. So I really, really liked Lost Vein as the first point, right? I thought that was a really, really good addition and a great starting point. Next we had Escanor. Again, I think this was a fan favorite. This was a crowd favorite. This was one that everyone was like, you know what? Hell yeah, Green Escanor's where it's at. He was like the OG. So I think this again was a good follow-up. His passive was a little bit restrictive in my mind to just humans, even in the backline. I thought that was a bit rough. I suppose now that we've been further through the game, I think putting him with the Sins team as well would probably have been a bit broken. So maybe they did that deliberately because of the plans and stuff that they did have. But he was... he kind of only became really... I suppose we use him in Demonic Deathmatch and stuff as well. So I think he was a good overall unit. I think he wasn't as hyped as Lost Vein just because of the restriction of his passive. Again, with the fact that, you know, we already had his Holy Relic and it was the same, so that didn't update. Whereas obviously with Lost Vein, we got you know, the Holy Relic up with Lost Vein, and it became even stronger because of the ult gauge increase, damage, and then we obviously, this one was where you could then increase ult gauge and increase damage, so it was really cool to pull together combos when you had the, like this, I'm going back to Lost Vein for a second, this synergized really nicely, right? Like basically you got attacked, you ranked up the cards, which allowed you to increase your ultimate gauge, which allowed you to increase your damage dealt. So like just the way Lost Vein felt, I think, was really cool, and it was like you could still, he was broken to a certain point, but you could still counter him just by not attacking him, you know, in that sense, right? Because like you basically obviously had really low crit resistance, so you pretty much was always going to crit him, but you could get around that by kind of killing the people around him, but he still came back and made a comeback, you know, so you could feel that you had an LR on your team, and you could feel that he could really do some work. Same thing with Escanor. Escanor did become a bit of a unit when he got by himself, especially if he got like a rank up with one of these cards. And as the game, as the match went on, or whatever it is went on, more and more obviously Eternal Flames developed on them, and he became stronger and stronger. So I think like these first two were great starting points, right? I think crowd favorites, etc. Then came probably the best LR in the game, in I think pretty much everyone's opinion. I think this girl just was so helpful for everything PvE related, right? I'm not going to go through obviously all the passives and everything in this. If you want to go through all that, I've got a few videos on it and they're all obviously available online and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go through each and every single one and all the updates that it had. But this girl just became a PvE god and made things like Nidhogger, dogs, everything so much easier for people that were really struggling with it. And I think that, you know, she didn't really have her use too much in PvP, but she just was so helpful in PvE. So look, the first three, they were just off to I thought a really good start. I thought that, you know, maybe Escanor was a little bit restrictive in his passive, but like these two I thought were bloody brilliant. Crowd favorite, which was really good fun to use. Then you had a PvE monster that really helped your team and obviously themselves and helped you carry through harder content in the game. And then you had Escanor, who was fun as the humans teams developed to run with humans. And then we got Margaret. To me, I was really let down by Margaret, personally. Again, this is all personal preference, guys. You can disagree, you can change my mind in comments below. I'm happy to listen. But I thought we were doing Lostvayne, and then we kind of did Escanor, which was about the same for me, and then we got LR Liz, which was just so good. And then we kind of just did this with LR Margaret. For me, I was really hoping they would move on to a fairy or a giant next. It made sense, even the way they went red, green, red hurt my soul a little bit, but I kind of get it. It's fine. But they went demon, they went human, and then they went goddess. I was like, perfect. Maybe a fairy or, a giant or something like that is going to be next, or an unknown is going to be next. No, they went to Margaret. And, you look back at all these other units, right? And this suddenly became a removes buffs on level 1 and gave it... Oh, it might have always been. Sorry, excuse me. But it gave the ignites on level 1. This became a blast card. The ultimate, had an update. Like, every single one of these cards had an update. Same with every single one of these cards, and then every single one of these cards. Which was needed, right? Because these characters were old, they weren't very usable, they weren't very good in the game, and they needed an update. And then we got to Margaret. And Margaret was still being used. Granted, not meta or anything like that, but still being used in the game. Her buff card was still one of the strongest buff cards in the game, which is evident by the fact that at level 1, it didn't change when you went to LR. This is exactly the same card as it is for level 1 non-LR Margaret. This is increased. But was it necessary? I mean, sure, this changed. That was nice. I guess you increase crit resistance, which is helpful for your team. And you increase crit chance and crit damage, so the combo was nice. But the thing that kind of frustrated me with this one was that goddesses were still being used. Again, not necessarily meta, they're still being used. You still run... Margaret was a staple part of the goddess team before LR. And yes, she made a bit of a difference to the team in terms of the damage and stuff they did, but was it really necessary? Was it really something that we needed? I don't think so. I think, would it have been better to get an LR Matrona or an LR Droll? You bet. Right? Would it have been better to, we'll come to Glocks, would it have been to get an LR Fairy? 100%. LR Unknown, probably didn't need an Unknown, to be fair. Unknowns were pretty damn strong, still are pretty damn strong. I think an LR would potentially, unless you do it right, would break Unknowns, because this guy's broken with his Holy Relic anyway, who gives just a 30% stat buff out of the gate. Anyway, so it threw me off, and I was like, you know what, and it was fine. We accepted it, we used it, and it was good fun, and she is kind of useful, but I really don't think that out of all the units that could have copped one, she was the right choice. Right? And then we come to Glocks. Now, Glocks is new. I don't have Green Elaine, so my judgment might be slightly skewed. But this guy, and look, we might be waiting on some incredible fairy that might come and make this guy just insanely strong, right? And I do need to play around with his gear. His gear's still a bit weak, so he's not as strong a CC as I'd like him to be. But this card, in geared PvP, the other day when I did this showcase of Glocks with another team, I just had HP defense on, but I was in geared. Remember, geared. This card, a Sever card, I crit. I did 6,000 damage. 6,000. So for all those who know anything about the damage in this game, that is just atrocious. It's just, and like I said, he's by no means maxed. I've got a lot of work to do on him, so it will be higher. But I mean, he's still almost 67k CC. He's an LR unit. I have 9.6 mil box CC. He should be able to hit more than 6,000 damage, right? And the fact that he's got no real support in the fairy line. Where is it? Yes, there's a few things like a Jelly King, and then this. Look at that. My only fairy I don't have is this Green Elaine. Green Elaine, yes, it can kind of look cool and it can look fun. It looks like it's strong. But if you do a comparison to the strength of this LR Glocks compared to Escanor, Liz, Melly, like even Margaret, right? He just sucks. Like objectively is just bad. So I'm really like like I said, there might be some big play from Netmarble that I'm not seeing because I'm not part of their squad and I'm not a game designer and I don't know what I'm talking about. But to go from, Losfane, Escanor to Liz to then Margaret to then Glox, like it was just it just hurts. Like he's not it, fam. And it's really upsetting because I love the idea, I love the concept. I'm so glad fairies are finally getting a little bit of love. I'm hoping we're going to get some more love for them soon. And I love Glox as a character. I think he was so cool in the anime. And we're up to 5 LRs now, and it's like we started off great, we continued great, we got awesome, then we went down to good, okay, and then we went down to okay / very average. So I'm just a little concerned about what's happening with the LRs lately. Like in theory, right, surely they're going to do a giant next. Surely the next one's going to have to be a giant. In my brain anyway, I could be very wrong. Maybe they take one of like the original Deannes and they completely change her around, or maybe they take a Droll. A Droll would be awesome. Or I don't know about Matrona, to be honest. I'd love a Droll. Droll would be my pick. Then you could run a Droll, and you could run like Matrona, and I think that would be really fun. But yeah, the fairies are just so far behind the goddesses, the humans, the unknowns, the demons, that they really needed something that was kick-ass, and they just didn't get it. They got a unit that was a slight buffer, and like, I haven't even got to this part yet. This decreases enemies' basic stats by 25% for 2 turns. So this happens after the ruin damage. So you need your debuffs on there first, which I kind of get. But it's a single target, and you're hoping this kills at a single target level anyway. So this decrease... it's all enemies' basic stats, so that's better. But this does nothing on level 1. Level 2, it just, like, granted, yes, it couldn't have done this on level 1, because that's just broken. Like, an AoE buff or attack disable is just disgusting. So I understand that, but doing nothing on level 1, and, like, this is cool concept for a bleed card, right? But, like, wait, hold on. 154% and then bleeds. 264%, and granted, it doesn't bleed, but the difference, and, like, okay, hold on, this is... attack crit, so I'm on attack crit on melee versus HP defense on Glox, but that's basically what, double the damage, and it doesn't. It just feels underwhelming, which is such a shame because I love, like I said, I love the concept of LRs. I think that they've done a pretty decent job so far. Yes, I don't love Margaret. I didn't like the order in which they brought her out, but like. He looks so cool. He could have been so broken. And, well, no, it doesn't have to be broken. It just needs a slight tune-up, And look, maybe they're just hiding an insane fairy that they're about to bring out, and it's going to be, LR Glox, and then some insane backline unit for fairies, which would be bloody awesome. I would love that. But, yeah, I don't know. So that's my rant about LRs. I don't know about you guys and what you guys think. You let me know down in the comments. But personally, I think my ranking for LRs has got to be Liz first. Then one of these two. Probably lost. One of these two. Second, and then second last, and then definitely last. Which is such a shame. So I'll get his Holy Relic, because I still haven't got his Holy Relic yet, because I'm still missing some pizza slices. But, increases fairy allies by 5%, which is great. And we apply debuffs and stuff, but like, who do you run them with? You run it with Jelly King, I guess, and then this Elaine. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. That's my rant about LRs. You can tell me whether I'm right or wrong. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.